Hey everyone, so just a little update on some positions. So on Wednesday, I outlined a trade that I did on McDonald's. So picking that downside fly on a stock that had really bad news earlier in the week, gap down on this E. coli news. I think it was just in Colorado. And then it rallied back again because I think the drop was just a little bit too much. People weren't sure of the how widespread it might have been. Was it local to Colorado? Was it something else? Something else? It's a supplier issue, right? It isn't a McDonald's issue, but still, it's bad news. Is that going to cause folks to go to Chipotle or I don't know, some other Denny's for breakfast and start to move some of their dollars elsewhere? Just a reminder, everyone, that this video is for educational and information purposes only. You trade at your own risk. I advise that you trade in a paper account for a very long time before committing money to something like this. But even still, please seek professional advice before doing any of this stuff. To the extent that you make use of the concepts in it, you're solely responsible for the applicable trading and investment decisions. Thank you. And is that going to affect earnings at some point? So while I don't think it's a massive long-term problem, obviously, this isn't some sort of existential issue for McDonald's. It can be a drag on things. And this is a stock that's just rallied from 250 all the way to almost 320. So boom, we're down in this channel. We came up, I put the trade on and figured, I looked at the call wall. So we look at gamma a little bit more these days, and on individual stocks, I think it's kind of interesting to use. So, on the S&P in general, if you're an S&P trader, if you're an index trader, and you can kind of find those levels. There are a number of products out there that can kind of give you where those levels are that you might want to use to lean on in terms of upside, resistance, lower support, and so I think you can have a little bit of fun playing those things. I don't really do that, although. I know somebody who's doing very well in single zero DTE condors, and so I think there's a method to the madness of trying to play zero DTE if you can use some of those gamma levels that are important. Anyway, back to McDonald's. So we bounce back, put it on there. I figured that's a pretty big level at that 300 line. We're going to have earnings soon, but I have my doubts as to whether this thing can push through given the news that we've just had. So now I'm not going to linger too long if this thing gives me a little bit more money. So just in a few days, this particular trade has gone from 259 to 390. So we're up about 45-50% on the butterfly, which is basically buying the 265. We're long the 265 put, short two of the 280s, long the 295. So this is your standard butterfly structure here, equidistant from the first put to the middle juicy body of the structure to that far put that protects you against that extra put that you've sold here at the 280 level. You see what this is? You're buying 10, you're selling 20, which leaves you short an extra 10, but you are protecting that extra 10 here. So it's a trade that is very interesting because when volatility is very high, which it is on McDonald's. So I'm looking at this and I'm going, wow. Earlier in the week, I'm saying this news is terrible. The vol's exploding. Of course, part of that is into the earnings event. And we know earnings, option prices tend to get juiced up pretty nicely into earnings events for good reasons sometimes. And so, but even in the shorter term ones, I thought, there's a story here, right? There's a story here. There's some call walls, there's some resistance, there's some breaking down on the chart, there's a stock that's been doing really great and suddenly out of favor, things kind of lined up. It pushed against me by $1 or so, but I'm not worried, right? I'm putting this thing on and I'm waiting for it to work out for me. And so it's a structure that is nicely short some Vega. So we can see our Vega number here, minus 33. So on a $1 drop, on a 1% drop in implied volatility, we're going to benefit by $33. Now, so we're going to benefit by delta because it's positioned below where the stock was trading. So we're going to benefit from the short delta of 150. So we have a directional bias, of course, with the strategy, but we also have the ability to benefit from vega exposure, negative vega, so we can benefit from the vol dropping a little bit, which it seems to be doing a bit, and we can benefit from theta. So from a directional basis, right, sometimes when you go long puts or you go long calls, whatever that is, we know that that means there's a decay to those options. So you're battling that decay, you're battling father time, and you have this sense of urgency for things to happen for you. Well, with a butterfly, you don't have the same kind of sense of urgency. You can kind of let it play out. And I love strategies that let you have your conviction on something and you're not going to panic on it, right? I'm a big fan of those. When I do my risk reversals, that's what I like about them too. I'm not sitting there going, oh my gosh, I'm going to lose like $100 a day on decay if I don't get this trade done, if it doesn't move in my favor. And then when it does start to move in your favor, you're like, geez, I got to take this money. I got to take my profits fast because what if it turns around? So that messes with your head. And we know that trading is at least 50, 60, 70% between the ears. So anything we can do to alleviate the impact from an emotional and mental side of things, it can only be beneficial, right? So that's why these structures can make sense. If McDonald's vol is trading at like 52-week lows, I'm putting on a different structure, right? I'm not worried as much, but the vol's high and I have to adjust to that, and this is one of the ways to do it. There are other ways to do it, but this is one of the ways to do it. So here we are, we've already made almost 50%. I took half of it off today, but I'm willing to wait. I think this thing is heading into the 70s. Now, these are November 8th, so I don't have a ton of time, but I do have, probably like 12 days or so, maybe 14 days or so. So I've got some time for this to play out. I've taken off half. Now I think what I can do is I can wait for this to come down into the 280, 275 level and hopefully bake off a little bit. Now, if it's grinding down slowly, I'm going to wait it out. If it just goes suddenly, I might take it off because I don't want it to get down the other side of the tent and start to give back some of that profit. So that's kind of my thinking here. I hope that's helpful to you guys. Think of the environment that you're in. Is it high vol? Is it low vol? I need to adjust. I had a student the other day say, Hans, I don't understand. Stock dropped $10 and I didn't make any money on my puts. Yes, the vol was high and it got crushed. You need to be aware of the volatility environment and adjust accordingly. So hopefully that helps you guys, and we'll see you in the next video.